Welcome to episode 23 of the Midwest Angler Podcast. I am Scott Sturman, and I'm joined by Matt Deitch, and today our special guest, Greg Vance. Greg, Matt, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you bringing me on this show, and I'm looking forward to hang out with you guys for the night and talk about fishing. It's my favorite thing. So
right on.
We're glad to have you here. I mean, up in Northwest Iowa, you're a Northeast Iowa guy, so kind of fun to get you to travel over this way.
Yeah, it's only about 5 hours for me, so it's really not too far. But it's just,
I suppose in the scope of things, where you're traveling, you're probably used to long travel things. It's 5 hours. It probably isn't too bad.
No, it's. I would say it's one of my shorter distances I'm traveling this year. I like coming to this lake. This is my third time here, and I've been coming here for a couple of state tournaments and stuff. But man, it's a cool lake, especially in the springtime. A lot of big fish swimming around and moving up, ready to spawn, and it's go time. So.
Yeah, it's about to go off. That's for sure. We're here on location East Lake Okoboji today.
Yep. And you've been pre-fishing up here because you've got a tournament this weekend here, barring the weather. But what's your tournament this weekend that you're going to be doing?
We got an Iowa Bass Nation Team Trail tournament. It's on Sunday, and I'm practicing. Came up yesterday afternoon, started practicing. Basically, I'm not sure exactly how many boats will be in it. My guess is 25 to 30 or so, but it's a qualification tournament. So Iowa Bass Nation puts on 2 different divisions. There's 2 tournaments per division, and top points team qualifies for a championship, whether it's down in Florida, Alabama, wherever they decide to hold it. And then it's a way to qualify for the Classic. It's the final berth into the Bassmaster Classic for the next season. So that's the ultimate goal, is to try to make that, but this is the first step.
So you've been in a Classic before. 2016 you qualified for the Bassmaster Classic, and that was held on
Grand Lake, right?
Yep, Grand Lake in 16.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how did you? You're relatively young. I mean, I guess you could say in the game. When you were 21 when you qualified for the
21
Classic?
when I qualified. Just turned 25 here in March, so it's been a couple years. But yeah, I mean, it was just an unbelievable experience. To be honest, when I first started fishing tournaments was in 2010, and the very first tournament to qualify for the Classic was here on Okoboji, which is kind of a memorable deal. So it was the first state tournament. We had 2 state tournaments, a spring and a fall, and we had a national a regional tournament, and that following summer, and then a national tournament that following fall in order to make the Classic. And it was cool to come here, and you had to be top 10 in points. I think I finished in 8th coming out of this tournament, and went on to the river, did good at the river, qualified for regionals, did good at regionals, ended up winning the state, and that put me into nationals. And then the format's a little different now to qualify through the nation. Back when I qualified, it was top guy per division. There were 6 divisions, and I was the Northern Division winner. So that was Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, Nebraska, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, all those upper states. So I had to beat all those state champions from that. And I was down the Ouachita River, and I ended up winning that, and that's what qualified me for the Classics.
Who was the guy when you got to the Classic that, like, when you saw him, it was like, oh baby, like I made it?
The very first person that I really saw, I mean, I had pictured in my head like some of my idols growing up, but the very first morning of practice, I remember I got to the ramp like an hour before light, just pumped, ready to go. Sat in my truck, and I'm sitting there, and it's still pitch black, and all of a sudden Skeet Reese rolls in with his big truck. And I'm in this tiny little boat ramp. I mean, gravel parking lot, gravel boat ramp, and I didn't think anybody knew about it, So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden Skeet Reese rolls up, and he must have had his dad or someone with him, an older guy, and dropped him in the water, and Skeet Reese sat in the water, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll put my boat in too. So I went and sat, and we power pulled next to each other, had a small conversation, and got light enough, and then started practicing that morning. But that was pretty cool to see, just because you see these guys on TV, and then bang, you're fishing against them. My idol, though, is Ike Kennelly. He's just a super cool guy. A lot of people don't like him because of his personality or whatever, but I think he's great for the sport, and he's fun to watch, and he's fun. He's just hilarious.
We were just talking about that on the way over here. We were talking about some of the guys that are like, on the different series and like which ones it's like, oh, you love seeing this guy do well, and this guy is like, I think I made the comment, if I saw him out on the water with his boat broke down, I don't know if I would tow him back in.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ike Anelli is one of those guys that it's just kind of like you see how his persona is on TV, and he's kind of a love him or hate him guy.
You can't deny his passion.
Right. I mean, he's
Not at all.
And I think a lot of times with him, he's way different off the water than he is like when you see him in front of a camera and all that. I think I met him out at La Crosse one year when we were out there for watching the Elite Series, and I mean, he sat, talked with us, took pictures, and yeah, he seemed like a really super cool dude.
You're exactly right. It was cool because during the Classic week, you know, we had a couple days of practice, and then we'd have a day where we had to do media stuff, you know, talk to companies, you know, about what we were going to do for the tournament, blah, blah, blah. And it was really cool. We got to do a Children's Hospital Day as well. So I got to do that with Kevin Van Dam. And so it was really cool to see him. And the other really cool thing is we all drew boat numbers, and my boat was number 4 and his boat was number 5. So that was our takeoff order for the Classic, the first day of the Classic, and then the second day. So it was cool because our boats were parked next to each other all week long in the boatyard. So when he was rigging tackle, I'm rigging tackle, parked right next to him. So we had conversations on and off. But a couple years ago, like several years ago, I guess I'd have been like 7th, 8th grade, my cousin got leukemia. And he's thank God he's alive right now. But during that process, when he had leukemia, he had a Make-A-Wish Foundation. And his Make-A-Wish was to fish with Kevin Van Dam. So like a year or so went by, and he got his wish granted, and he got to go fishing with KVD. And so the cool story is when they were fishing the elite event down in Fort Madison, Iowa, which was several years ago. I think that was like 2008 or 2009.
Yeah, it was available.
My aunt and uncle have a motorhome, and they said, "Hey, do you want to come and watch the elite event with us?" Because they knew I loved to fish, and I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So we went down for a couple days and watched the whole event. And after they had done the Make-A-Wish, they kind of became friends with the Van Dams, and they came and ate dinner with us at a local campground. They spent 5 hours with us, just talking, hanging out. The whole family came, and that's kind of how I got to meet Kevin in the first place. So when I qualified for the Classic, he remembered me through all that. My aunt made pillowcases for the Children's Hospital thing. We went over and did that, spent the whole day with him, and it's been cool. I got his phone number in my phone, and I've texted him, and he responds to me every time, and he's just another awesome guy. So.
No, he's not calling him right.
Get him on.
Get him on right now.
Prove
Scott. It's crazy. I mean, we talk about this all the time. We, like you said, we see these guys on TV. You see them online, and you know we kind of put them bigger than their persona, and they're just normal guys like us that just love fishing, and they'll talk to anybody that really wants to come up and do it. I mean,
you're right. They pull their pants up the same way we do. They're just better fishermen in a way, and you know that's who I'm trying to become in the end. And just it's all a process. I mean, it takes a long time to get good at fishing, especially you know the hundreds of lakes literally that you guys fish and that they fish, and it's years and years of getting perfecting the craft. And nobody, I mean, KVD is the best there ever was. Maybe nobody will ever be as good as him, but nobody's perfect at fishing. It just doesn't happen.
Nope, everyone's got their off day.
Yep. So that's just something I've learned, you know, in the last couple of years fishing tournaments is you're going to have your bad tournaments. You're going to have your good tournaments, but the ones that are bad, you got to learn, you know, what did I do wrong, or what can I do the next time, or, you know, figure out something that, you know, maybe will work for the next time you're there. So, you know, you always got to find something positive in the bad outcomes, and that's just what I try to do. So,
Out of all the lakes that you've been, you know, fishing in tournaments, what's the one that's your favorite?
well, if it wasn't for this past tournament on my first Open this year to Benton on Toledo Bend, I had a tournament there last year, and it was a heck of a lot of fun. I was throwing a swim jig in the trees, flooded timber, and I was just cracking them. Had 20 plus pounds a couple days in practice, and had a couple really good days in the tournament, 20 plus pounds, and I thought I was on top of the world, you know, that time. Ended up having a really good tournament. I think I ended up 4th out of 190 in a regional tournament, but didn't make didn't make it to nationals, but I had an open there the same. It was a week different this year, and I'm like, I'm going to do the same thing and wreck them. And I was wrong. I went to the same areas, and I couldn't get bites. So I had to kind of, restructure my game plan, try to come up with something, and it just didn't work out. It's just that lake changes a lot, just like any other body of water. But growing up fishing the Mississippi River, I'd have to say that's probably one of my favorite bodies of water. And yeah, I fish a lot of tournaments. A lot of big tournaments don't come there, but this is going to be the first year where an open, my style, the level right now that I'm fishing, I get to go and fish the river. So it's going to be right in my backyard, right in my wheelhouse. So we'll see what happens. You never know. Sometimes fishing your home body of water could be a curse at the same time.
Wasn't for Ot Defoe. Wasn't for Ot. So.
Nope.
Well, you're fishing the Bass Opens, the Central, or are they just all one?
Nope. There's two
Central
divisions.
And Eastern now, right?
An Eastern and a Central division.
You're fishing all the Central ones.
I'm fishing all the Centrals.
You've had two.
I've had two so far.
Okay.
The first one was at Toledo Bend. I think, I bombed that one. I think I ended up in like 100 someplace. Then the second one was at Smith Lake, and that's an awesome lake too. That was a lot of fun. I had a really unbelievable practice. I was catching them every day. Thought I had a game plan figured out. Crazy thing. I was throwing a spinnerbait in slick, calm, sunny day water, and I was just cracking them. And it was the weirdest thing ever. And then the weather changed, and it became overcast, cloudy, and windy. I'm like, it's just going to get better, right?
It's going to improve now.
Complete opposite. I couldn't catch nothing on the spinnerbait. But it's just one of the things. Things changed, and I wasn't able to adjust in time. And I still caught a limit both days. I think I ended up in 60th or whatever out of 190. So, upper third, I would say, but it's not where I want to be. I got to be. My goal is to be in the top 20 every year, no doubt. Or if not win it, but that's the first step is getting yourself there. So.
And you can qualify for the Elite Series through the Opens, the point standings at the end of the year, correct? What do they take you?
Yeah,
about,
so
the top?
it's right now. It's a top 5 in points. Okay. So, it's top 5 in points overall. And then if you win one, you're guaranteed to fish the Classic. So last year they didn't have that, but they changed it back this year. So if you do win one, so I still have 2 more chances to make it there again. If I have 2 really good, awesome tournaments, top 10 finishes, there's a slight chance I could possibly make a top 5 and make the Elite Series. But in the long shot, in all reality, I probably won't make it this year. But that's still. The end goal is still there, is to make it. So I'm just going to keep doing this as long as it's going to take me to get there. And if I don't ever make it, I don't ever make it. But
go down swinging.
That's
right.
Yeah, that's right. So.
And so the next one is the one at La Crosse.
Yep.
Okay.
August.
The first weekend of August.
Yep. First, second, third of August. So.
I still haven't heard if I got in late to the game to try to get in as co-angler.
Okay.
So I'm on the waiting list yet.
Yep.
Still haven't got that email confirmation.
Wouldn't that be insane? You guys
could get paired up.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
I don't know if they'll let 2 Iowa guys in the boat at the same time.
Because they know it's going to happen.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. There's a good chance. There's definitely a good chance.
So that is the end goal. When you started into this, it was I want to make the Elite Series. Yep. That's it. And yeah, if you would happen to get the chance, down the road, are you an MLF guy? Are you a Bass guy? FLW guy? Where's your?
To be honest, I'm kind of right now stuck with Bass just because it's what I've been doing. This whole MLF thing is new, and I think it's great for the sport. But I've definitely heard some ups and downs about it. My personal opinion, I have the same feelings. I think it's awesome, and I think it's it's whatever, at the same time. It's definitely changed the sport, no doubt, and I think it's changed for the better. I have nothing against FLW. I think they're a great organization as well. I just have never fished any of their tournaments. I've stuck with Bass. I qualified for the Classic, and that's where I want to get to again. That's the tournament that sparks the fire on your butt and says, hey, keep going and try to make this again. So that's what I'm trying to do, is qualify for that again and qualify for the Elite Series. Ever since I was a kid, that's all I wanted to do, is fish the Elite Series, fish the Kevin Van Dams and the Ike Nellies and the Skeet Reeses, fish against them someday. They're no longer there with bass, but they're still amazing anglers in that. And like I said, the MLF guys, FLW Tour guys, and Bass Elite guys, they're no doubt the best in the world. And to be able to qualify for that and compete against some guys at that level, that would be an ultimate dream of mine. So, yeah, that's, like you said, that's the ultimate goal for me, is to qualify for the elites. And who knows, maybe something will happen with MLF where, there'll be a way for a guy like myself to qualify. Right now, I don't think there is, but I think they are working on something. From what I've heard from some buddies that fish the Elite Series, they got something coming out, but it might not be for a couple years yet. So.
It's interesting, and we've talked about this before too. It's nice, like you said, having that another kind of big organization in the bass fishing world, because it's opened up a lot of doors for a lot of guys that have always kind of been right on that cusp of getting into the Elite Series or getting on the FLW Tour. Well, now when some of these guys left it, now all of a sudden these guys come in. And I mean, they're having great success. A lot of those guys are this year. And,
we talked about this on the way over too. There's more than 150 great sticks in the United States and Canada and whatever. This year they had a guy from Italy fish the Classic, and when you can open it up to 300 people instead of 150, it is the best. And I think Bass took a look, like, hey, we need to up our ante a little bit too and treat these anglers a little bit better, and it is worked out best for everyone. But I think deep down, me and Matt are both bass guys.
I told him on the way over here, I asked him, would you rather go out and catch 31-pound bass or 5 bass that weigh 30 pounds? It's just kind of like, I think it's fun catching fish, but hooking into a big one is pretty fun.
I just like the whole format of fish for your best 5 and bring them to weigh-ins. I want to see what they weigh on the scale. I want to see what other guys have. That's the fun about it. I don't get me wrong, I love catching fish regardless of the size, but when you're catching 4 to 5, 6 pounders, in tournaments, there's nothing that gets my blood pumping more than that. Getting one in the boat and throw it in your box and knowing you have a big one, coming back to weigh-ins with you.
And that was even like last weekend at Texas Fest down there at Lake Fork, or 2 weekends ago. Knowing what those guys already had coming in to weigh in, it kind of was like, usually, you tune in online and watch the weigh-ins, and it's just like, oh man, he's got a big bag today, but nobody really knows what it is, so it's that excitement. But
right.
I mean, knowing that, okay, he's got 35 pounds, here comes the last 2 anglers. It's like, well, all this hoopla stuff, it's just like, okay, get him through there so the guy gets crowned. But yeah, there's something about that weigh-in, just that anticipation and just the not knowing.
Yep. That's the thing about MLF. I think it's cool to watch guys, catch a bunch of fish. They're showing you techniques that maybe you don't know. You're learning about the sport, but the excitement just for me isn't there like it is for bass. Maybe it's just because it's a new thing. But like I remember the first event this year when Jordan Lee won it. He had won, and his name was at the top of the leaderboard, and he's like, did I win? And the marshal was like, yeah, you won. And he goes, oh, awesome. But there's nobody there to celebrate. It's just him and his marshal in the boat in the middle of the lake. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
give me a high five.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool. He won $100 grand, and it's awesome, but there's just no excitement. And then they do like a weigh-in / talk to the anglers at the end of the tournament, but if you look in the crowd, there's like nobody there.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I think, like I said, I think it's good for the sport, but they're going to have to change a few things up, I think, in order to keep people's interest. Maybe at the last day, don't put a score tracker up.
Right.
Make it like,
yeah, that's a good idea.
Make it, so it's an excitement thing at the end of the day. Well, who's going to actually win, or that kind of thing. I think that would be better.
You talking like that, they might call you up and get you in on the marketing.
Yeah.
There.
Wouldn't be a bad gig.
No, I was going to say that.
So after you've been to the Classic, you've been to the Mecca, you've fished at the highest level I believe possible, and obviously you didn't win it. Does that, did you take it more easy on yourself after that? Like, what, I've been there, done that, or the fact that you finished 45th? I mean, you didn't get last. I mean, you went there or whatever. Does that, I mean, does it spark more of a fire in you? Like, what, this, like, Because I mean, you got to know. I mean, you can have your day next time and just
exactly. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was great to qualify for it, but doing it once, like, it just, I want to be there again so bad, like. And
you got the bugs worked out now, like, you know, now you're going to be over, and there's still going to be nerves, don't get me wrong, but I mean, you've been there, you've seen it, you know what to expect this time.
But, you know, I still enjoy fishing the smaller tournaments too, but yeah, I mean, to get to the Classic and to fish that was unbelievable, but sometimes there's a little more pressure maybe on myself because, hey, you've already made it there, but like, I don't, you know, I want to get there again, but you know, I just don't want to put too much pressure on myself. Like, hey, you've already done it, and you can do it again, but at the same time, it's really tough to get there. And I know I can do it again someday. It's just a process. It takes time. A lot of people don't realize, well, that kid made the Classic. Well, he hasn't been doing good in tournaments lately. Well, yeah, everybody's going to have that time. And you know, you know, you got a lot of people out there that are saying that type of stuff, but I can't let
have the haters.
Yeah,
you could clean sweep it the rest of the year.
Yeah, you never know. You know, fishing's one of them sports where, you know, everything's got to line up in your favor. You gotta put the time in on the water. You gotta work hard. You gotta make sure your tackle's all prepped properly. You gotta make sure that, you know, your boat, everything in your boat is in line. Like, there's so many variables that can happen in a tournament, you know, that can either make or break it. It's one of them things. But yeah, I mean, I just want to make it back so bad, and it pushes me a lot harder deep down for myself because, like, in order to make that, I got to work hard. I got to make sure I'm putting in as much time in the water as I can. I got to make sure my tackle's, you know, pristine. Everything matters when it comes to fishing, and that's what I think. You know, the bigger guys, you know, the big names, they're doing it the best is because they're just that much better at it than, you know, a lot of guys that are trying to get there.
No shortcuts.
No shortcuts, not at all.
Because I mean, you're trying to make a career out of it. You want to be consistent, and you know, somebody could pull up and get lucky one day and beat somebody, but then the rest of the days, you could, like me, I could pull up there and be like, one day I could catch 5 pounders, and okay, but I mean, to do that consistently throughout the years, you know, and always finish high in the tournaments and get that, I suppose is. You can't have the Ricky Bobby mentality of going out win or lose. I mean, you're going to win it or you're going to lose it. But,
when times get tough, what's your go-to bait?
You know, a Senko is just an unbelievable bait. Whether it's Texas rigging it, flipping, I like to do that a lot. A lot of guys kind of don't do it a whole lot. From what I know, a lot of guys are wacky rigging, and I love wacky rigging. It's an awesome bait. But you know, Texas rig Senko is an awesome bait too. And, you know, I sponsor by Missile Baits. I think they have some awesome baits. But the Strike King Menace Grub, you know, is one of my all-time. I mean, you can throw it on a trailer. You can Texas rig it. You can drag it on a Carolina rig. There's so many different ways. I'm a flipper. I'm a soft plastic guy. But if I'm not doing that, I'm throwing a swim jig or some sort of jig. I just love that, you know, feel the bite, set the hook type deal. Don't get me wrong, I love topwater, I love crankbaits, spinnerbaits, I love all that. But if I would say, you know, probably flipping and jigs are my.
That's where your confidence is.
Yeah, that's my confidence. Definitely.
Well, I don't know.
What besides fishing, you know, to take a break from the lake, what other things do you like to do?
Man, I love to hunt.
You're in the right area.
You're
in the right company.
Suck.
No,
and you're in the right company for that.
Yeah, and this is a cool area too because my favorite type of hunting is pheasant hunting.
Is it?
Yeah.
We gotta get you over here pheasant hunting.
I know.
Sometime.
When I'm out there fishing today, I can hear birds. You know,
I'm
just like, man, I got 2 visas at home. I got pointers. My dad's got 2 visas and a golden, so we got 5 hunting dogs. One's too old to hunt anymore, but we get to South Dakota a couple times a year out bird hunting. I do a lot of deer hunting too. We got 80 acres back home in Delhi, Iowa, and I love the late season muzzleload there and shotgun and bow hunt. So I kind of do it all. Anything outdoors, I'm in. All in.
Matt said you wrestle in college?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
Does Dubuque have a high school? Is there multiple high schools?
Yeah, there's 3 high schools, 2 public and 1 Catholic. I went to the Catholic one, Wallard High School. Wrestled there all 4 years. Did pretty good. I qualified for state 3 times, placed my junior year, and then decided to move on to college. I went to Loras College, which is in Dubuque as well. Okay. But both my parents went there. It's a great school. I got a marketing degree from there, and decided to wrestle and got along with the coach, got along with a lot of teammates, and I was like double overtime for making it to nationals one year, and it was actually my last match of my ever career, because then I made the Classic, and I said, you know what, I'm done with wrestling. I'm going to focus on fishing the rest of my life. So
you're a naturally competitive guy.
Oh yeah,
so,
I mean that's what it is to compete. And don't get me wrong, I love to go out and fish, but pre-fishing honestly sucks because I just want to go tournament fish. You know, I don't want to compete against guys.
When you got to be mentally tough to wrestle, and you know when times get tough in a fishing deal, I mean you got to be able to.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of an advantage I got, just because I've been there a lot with, you know, I've had to cut weight a lot in high school. You know, I was cutting 20, 25 pounds a week just to try to make weight. So that was something that, you know, I had to become mentally tough. And the fishing thing is mentally tough too, but it's a different type of tough. Like, it's a physical tough versus a, you know, mental, try to figure out the fish, what are they doing, how can I be better, you know, what are they biting, where are they going to be type of tough. So, but it's definitely still, you know, something where it's helped me out throughout the years, being a wrestler, being competitive. I played football in high school too, so I've always been into sports and been competitive, so I think, you know, that's something else that drives me.
It kind of gives you that confidence, so like when you do go out there, I mean, if you think you're going to lose before you ever go out on that mat, you're going to lose. Well, the same way out here, if you don't think if you're not thinking you have a chance to win a tournament or do well in a tournament, I mean, you're behind the 8 ball right there.
Yeah.
Ramsey? Ramsey's in, I'm out. I got a bloody nose.
Bloody nose. Uh-oh. Tapping him in. So, so wrestling and everything, you and Polnick, who wins in a wrestling match? Because he's a big wrestler too, right?
Yeah, he is, and that's cool too. You know, during the whole Classic week, we kind of figured out, hey, we're wrestlers, you know, and so we had several conversations, and I don't know. I don't really know his background in wrestling. I'm sure he'd be a tough competitor, but I'd like to give it a try sometime.
that little common bond in there.
Yeah, I'm a little out of shape now. I still work out a little bit, but no, wrestling shape's totally different from fishing shape.
So, like a typical, you're going down to a tournament. What does kind of a week look like going down there getting prepared for one of the opens?
Yeah, one of the opens. So I got 4 a year, so I definitely focus on those more than any other tournament. Don't get me wrong, I spend my time focused on other tournaments, but when it comes to the opens, you know, they're the highlight of the seasons. So usually I get a week of practice in. So I drive down, let's say tournaments, it would be Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'll drive down the week that Tuesday or whatever before, make sure I get a full day of driving or 2 in, depending on where it's at. Make sure the boat's ready to go. I'll check in the hotel that night, get up early in the morning. I'm hitting the water every day from basically dark to dark and try to figure something out. And then it's guaranteed 2 days for everybody, but it's a 3-day tournament. You have to make the top 12 to fish the final day. Had one top 12 last year in the Arkansas River. That was pretty cool. Missed it by a couple ounces a couple other times, which sucks, but it's part of fishing.
Yeah,
so.
Put you right up there.
Yep.
So you usually stay like in a hotel. You ever have to stay in the truck?
Sometimes I do. The problem with staying in the truck for that long is I need a place to shower. I want to make sure I get enough sleep, and I pack too much crap. I can't. I don't have a whole lot of room in my truck, but I try to, me and a couple buddies get a place to stay. Like last time at Smith, like we had 6 guys into a small cabin. It was like $10 a night per guy. So it was you couldn't beat that.
Do you have a group of guys that you travel with?
Yeah, I do. This year is actually the first time I've had. Normally I was going by myself, or I'd meet up a couple guys down there just for a few nights or whatever. But yeah, I got a couple buddies from back home. We got one guy from Wisconsin, one guy from Louisiana, 2 guys from Iowa. So we kind of got a bunch of guys who kind of come together and hang out. And we don't do a lot of hanging out because we're all fishing all day long. But we'll come back at night, have a beer or 2, and chit chat, and hit it again the next morning. But yeah, it's good to have guys on the road with you to talk and
for sure.
Maybe get a little help here and there. But Yeah, it's definitely lonely when you're by yourself for a week or two straight, but you know that's part of the game, and that's what I'm willing to do. So.
And sometimes it just gets you a little bit more focused.
That's
Nothing
right.
else to do, so
That's
you
right.
might as well go out there and fish.
Exactly.
Do you spend a lot of your time in practice fishing, or do you spend more of it driving around and trying to mark fish or structure or something like that?
Everybody has their different way of what they want to do when it comes to pre-fishing. I want to gain as much confidence as possible. So if I'm in an area and I'm catching them or having multiple decent bites, it's better for me to know that they're there. Like, I know a lot of guys, they drive around and mark stuff, and maybe I'm just not at that level yet. I just feel like I want to know what's there in order to have the confidence to go catch them again or reproduce another pattern or whatever it may be. So that's the thing is, I'll catch, one or two keepers in an area and maybe bend my hook, see if I can get another bite or two. And just to know, hey, there's several fish here.
Right.
Make sure you're coming here in the tournament, that type of deal. I just don't have the confidence to, hey, that looks good on a graph, I'm going to mark it, because who knows, they could be stacked, or you could fish there for 3 hours and not get a bite, you're just wasting time.
Yeah.
So I like to try to cover as much water, find as many areas as I'm getting bit as possible, and then, I try to find an area where maybe I can go catch a limit for fillers, but, I'm obviously looking for them bigger fish too. Because I've had so many tournaments where I needed one more 2-pounder, and I would have done that much better. And everybody's like, well, you need to find your 5 best fish. Yeah, that's true, no doubt, because you're never going to win a tournament, with 5 little ones. But you do sometimes need those spots where you can pull up and catch a 2 or 3-pounder at the end of the day or something. So, I like to try to find those type areas and bigger fish areas, but I just try to cover as much water as possible.
So, the question I was going to ask you, when you're not fishing an open, you're not fishing a tournament, what's the species you like to go out on a lake on a fun day to go target?
Just bass.
I'm a bass period.
I'm a bass period. A lot of guys, we don't have deep sea fishing here, but a lot of guys I know, I have a lot of friends from Louisiana, they go deep sea fishing, which I think I'd get into, maybe it's speckled trout or snook or whatever.
He's from Texas.
Okay. But, no, nothing trips my trigger like bass. I could care less about walleye or pike or bluegill, panfish. I really don't care. Don't get me wrong, a pike and walleye are fun to catch, but I'm not going to go target them.
Really?
I'm just going to strictly
Always
fish for
bass.
bass. Yep.
Yeah, it's probably hard to do some of the techniques for walleyes and stuff like that too out of your boat. How it's set up. I mean, you catch it the same way, but yeah. Some of your sponsors. Go ahead, plug all them guys.
Yeah. So I got a lot of good companies backing me. I got a few new ones this year. My first foremost Fims manufacturing. They make AR-15s. So they just got into the market a couple years ago. Great guy, great owner, great company, and they make a great rifle. They really do. They're manufactured very well, but they're pricey, no doubt, but they're worth the money. If anybody's into guns, weapons, ARs, that's definitely someone to check out. A lot of other companies, RSM, Fastcore, Dixon Associates. A lot of local companies, that are helping me out. Mossy Oak Fishing, Team Rain Shadow. Hawkeye custom rods are my rods that I'm using. They're all custom rods, so everything I use is built the way I want it, to the specs I want it. It's balanced the way I want it. I use Ebu Garcia reels, missile baits, Exceptional Dentistry, another local shop back home. There's just a lot of great companies that are supporting me this year. So.
That definitely takes a lot of that.
And Casey's
support.
General Stores too.
Casey's General Stores.
Can't forget their pizza.
We always,
yeah.
I was gonna say, you get it, you throw some coupons this way. I mean, we never shy away from Casey's Pizza.
Yep.
You probably maybe one final thing. Do you have any advice for younger fishermen getting into it since it's so popular? I mean, you're still young. It's not but you've been at it for a while.
Yep.
Some advice on, I don't know, just getting started or with sponsorships if they're trying to get a sponsorship.
Yeah. As far as the fishing goes, obviously you've heard it a million times, spend as much time on the water. But also fish as many different bodies of water. I like to come to a lake like this, just instead of fishing the river every weekend, I want to come to another body of water to try to learn maybe different technique or different areas, and maybe I'll have a tournament come here in the past that I need to know. So learning that, but also, I go on YouTube all the time, watch videos, fishing techniques. There's so many techniques every year that come out like that you can learn from. Any sort of that, Bassmaster magazine. There's so many great articles in there. So anything fishing related, spend time in the water. Make sure you're trying to learn as much as possible. But as far as sponsorships, make sure a lot of guys say, go get a degree. I mean, you need to in today's world. Go pursue something. Maybe if fishing's not a thing, maybe you'll find something else that you might like. But if you are 100% into fishing, you got to be 100% committed. Can't half-ass it is what I would say. You can't be going, I guess I'll fish this week, and I'm not going to fish next week. The weather's too bad, or I got too much what other stuff to do. If you're going to make a go at it, you got to keep pushing yourself, and be marketable. Be nice to people. I mean, that's a huge thing. There's so many guys that I've seen in this industry that I don't know how they get sponsors because they're just mean, simple, seriously.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah. Oh,
it's
there's
crazy.
there's some of them grumpy ones out there. It's just like.
And I don't care if there's people that you don't like. You don't have to like them. You just got to be nice to them because they could eventually help you out in the long run. You never know. But yeah, just always be friendly to people, and try to just be marketable. Obviously, social media is huge. I still got to get better at it myself. But always be nice. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Well, we really appreciate you. I reached out to you on Instagram and asked. I saw that you were going to be in the area and thought, hey, maybe we could get him on as a guest on the podcast. So we really appreciate you taking time out of your practice to come and sit down here with us.
It's not a problem. I appreciate you guys asking me. I like to do stuff like this and meet new people and put my information. If anybody wants to learn one thing from me or whatever, I think it's a plus. So I appreciate you guys asking me, and maybe we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, for sure. Good luck this weekend. Definitely be looking for him in the future. He's going to make waves in the Opens. We're going to see him on the Elite Series someday. I know it.
I hope.
Yeah, thanks again. We appreciate it. Everybody out there, thanks for listening and thanks for watching.
Thank you.